Well, happy New Year and happy 2022. John O'Flaherty, the B3 burner, always trying to get a little ahead of the game. And this time, we're looking at the latest painting project for the Cadillac. Relatively simple, nothing earth-shattering. I still have a paint project from 2018 of the LTD that I have yet to upload. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but at least this is more current. So let's take a look at what we have here. We have rust on the air cleaner cover that I would like to spray paint black and get that looking a little nicer. Preferably maybe more like that right there. It's still cool outside. It's in the 50s. It makes these projects a little bit more palatable. Once it gets hot in the garage, I really don't feel like doing these sorts of things. So I'll get back with you as we move further along. So we washed, sanded, scraped with brushes, washed using simple green. And now we went and put the air cleaner cover into this stuff. We don't have petroleum jelly. So instead, we use this stuff right here, Evapo-Rust, super safe rust remover. And then it says to wait 1 to 12 hours. 1 to 12 hours, what a range. I hope it's closer to 1 than 12. This is the same stuff we used on the hood hinges last March. Did a pretty darn good job. So hopefully it'll do the same good down here when we pull it out of there. And then we can paint it black using this stuff over here. Rust-Oleum black engine enamel, resistant up to 500 degrees, and it stops rust. We'll go from there, and I'll let you know how things progress as we move along. Well, it's been about an hour and a half almost. It's been sitting in here. Let's have a look, see how it turned out. Not bad. A little bit of rust color. Yeah, should I leave it overnight? Maybe so. Well, if it's decent after 1.5 hours, but there's still a little bit more rust, why not try 12 hours or tomorrow morning? We could work it from there. I'm gonna put it back in. Why not? Let's see where we go from there. Well, after 22 hours, here's the situation as it stands. It's had plenty of time to soak. So let's have a look. And that's as good as it's going to get. That's more than good enough in my opinion. You can maybe do a little bit more scraping, but I don't think nothing more is going to come off really. So we will rinse that off and call it good. So and I would say that except for the black paint, that didn't come all the way off, and that's okay. We can just use it as an undercoating. The important thing is the rust is gone. That's good enough. I'm not going to try to sand the black paint off the bare metal. Okay, in the backyard now, time to apply the Rust-Oleum. There we go. This stuff right here. See how we do. There we go. Get around on this side. Come around over here. Good enough. Any extra I'll apply later. I just want to give you an idea what's going on. So now that the paint is drying on the air filter cover, it's time to get to the air filter housing itself. Obviously, the first thing we have to do is remove the air filter, which kind of smells like it's seen better days. I smell a mix of oil and gasoline together. I'm not sure that's good. And then we have the housing, which if you look is hooked up to several things at once. This here, I'm not sure what's supposed to come off. This could be a little harder than I thought it would be. So maybe there's a lot more to it than I realized. The Ford, the cover just came straight off. This might be a little more difficult. You see, I'd like to clean the under part of the air filter in addition to the cover. But here's the thing. You can see all these emissions connected doodads, hoses and what have you. You got this that comes under here, connected to this blue thing that goes underneath there and connects to that gold thing over there and prevents me from taking all this off. I can get this off, that's easy, but the other parts I can't take off. So right now I'm kind of stymied at the pass until someone shows me how to take that off. I don't want to rip anything. Those hoses are kind of brittle. So meanwhile, I'm going to put back on the cover, and that's what we have to go with for now. I blow dried it and let it dry up in the bathroom. It's not tacky anymore. The engine heat will dry it up even further once I put it back in the car. I got a new air filter as well. This one's starting to get just a little dirty. You could go either way on it, but I think it would be best to replace it. O'Reilly Auto Parts says the replacement will come in at 6 o'clock tonight, a little less than 2.5 hours from now. So in the meantime, I'm going to put it back on the car and show you what it looks like there. Well, there's the cover on it, huh? How does that look? Like $1 million and some change. Now the bottom part looks so nasty compared to the top. I mean, there's a few fingerprints where the paint was still tacky, where you can see that I grabbed it, like over there. Most people aren't going to notice it. They're just going to notice it's clean, shiny black, and not rusted. That's the important part. And then I'm going to order a 472 sticker from a Cadillac online place and adhere it to one of these hexagonal 1/6 sections, probably either this one or this one, and that's going to make it look really sharp. So there we go. That was the first goal at hand, and when I figure out how to take the bottom part off, we'll deal with that later. Okay, I'm back. I wouldn't say bigger and better than ever, but at least I got the air filter housing off, and I'll show you what I mean. This was the easy part, if you recall. It was this part under here. There was a blue clip that I couldn't lift it past. You had to push the clip to the side to get the air filter housing to release. And then this part was stuck in here. Anyway, we got that taken care of. Now we need to wash, clean, and paint it. Sand down the rusty areas. Are there rusty areas? Not so much in the bottom, but inside. This is a little rusty. That's a little rusty. It could stand some improvement. So we're going to take care of that. This hosing is brittle. I would say it needs replacing. I'll see if I can pull that off. If not, I might need somebody else to do it for me, but I'm going to do my best to see if I can do it myself. Okay, so I changed my mind. Rather than filling this bucket with simple green and scrubbing it to death, I figured I would just fill the Evaporust canister, or whatever you want to call it, with simple green mixed with water and let it soak. Maybe time will do the hard work for me so that I don't have to do too much scrubbing. I'll still scrub it down, but the point is I won't have to scrub it down as hard as I otherwise would have, so that's my hope. Okay, so I'm done soaking the air filter housing in the simple green solution. It's looking pretty dirty, which means this hopefully got cleaner. I see a little bit of rust over here, but we're gonna paint all that. I wanna cover this area here so we don't paint on that. I don't wanna paint on rubber. Try to cover the hose lines. Those will probably get replaced. This I think is, that might be metal or maybe it's plastic, I don't know. I will spray all this. This snorkel piece that comes out of the air filter housing this snorkel is made out of plastic, so we're not going to paint that. Get over in here, get over this area. The area back there is what faces the back of the car. You won't even really see that. It's the area facing front that we need to make sure looks okay. So we'll take this to the backyard and go painting. Okay, well here we are in the paint booth, or I mean the backyard. And we got our painter's tape. There it is. And we're gonna cover up the areas I don't want painted like that. Yeah, we can paint that, but I don't wanna paint the hose. Not that it really matters, I'm gonna replace it anyway, but for the time being, I don't wanna paint over rubber. And on the other side, we'll have some things that I don't want painted either, like those copper nipples, because I don't want to impede airflow. Okay, that allows the hose to pass air through those. All right, so there we go. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so on the side facing up, there's only two things that needed taping down, that and around this rubber grommet over here, as well as over on the inside, and everything else should be fine. In fact, this rubber hose, you can see this where it's cracking and shiny, that's paint. Somebody already painted this hose, and it's going to be replaced at some point anyway soon, so it really doesn't matter. Paint away. Okay, the newspapers are down and we're rattle can ready. Let's start over here, work our way clockwise. Pretty good. I don't know about what Johnny Dench once said, no runs, no trips, no errors. I'm not an expert painter, but who cares? That hose is going to get wet anyway. Oh my God. Oh boy. I meant to cover the GM sticker. Yeah, I thought I had gotten everywhere I wanted. I forgot to cover the GM sticker. I don't want to have to buy a new one. So there we go. Now we'll get the rest of it, rest of the top, and then the bottom is another story. Okay, I still need to check whether that's going to dry up. Time is working against us. It's, 4:39 by my watch, and the sun goes down at 5 o'clock. Temperature's in the mid-50s, and the humidity is about 80%. Not good for drying paint. So let's touch this and see if it's still tacky to the touch. And the answer is yes. It's drying, but barely. I could put a finger and get a fingerprint if I'm not careful. And I'm going to turn it upside down and do the best I can. We have to get this done today. It's supposed to rain later tonight or tomorrow morning. So I no longer have the luxury of waiting. I'm gonna have to get this done. Okay, here we go, the underbelly of the beast. We got it turned upside down. And let's give it a shot. I've got the copper nipples or brass nipples covered up so we don't get paint on them. And here we go. That's where that's the word I'm looking for. That's where I've gotten rid of the rough, where I've taken the paint off, scraped the paint off. So that's good, I guess. Get in there. Good, we'll get there. Oh, there's no good way to grab that. Get over here. Okay. All right. Well, I do dare say it looks better than it did before. Let's just look for any areas I might have missed. Yeah. I don't know, did I mess around here? Let's double check. Nope, we got that. Looking for orange peel or thinly laid down. Of course, the more you apply, the longer it's going to take to dry. Yeah, that's not good. You know, the underneath is the part you're not going to see anyway once it's back on the car. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the assumption that's good enough, because it still has to dry. As you can see, twilight is on its way. The sun's just getting ready to set. There it is, we have drying time. I'll come back out and get it probably after it gets dark. Put it back in the garage, and it can dry there overnight. And hopefully that'll be completion of project. Then we'll bring it back over to Mike's, have him replace the hose, and have, once the hose gets replaced, have him or Jeff put it back on, and we will be complete. All right, good evening. What do some people like to do on a Saturday night? Go out with friends, party, enjoy themselves. What do I like to do? Well, I'm getting older, more set in my ways and settled down, so for me, reviewing my air filter cover is again the topic of discussion. This is the end result of having painted it, and you can see that it came out very nice. There was only one problem, well, two blemishes. See that? That's newspaper. I turned it upside down to allow the bottom to dry, and it was still wet here. That's all paper, the newspaper that it was sitting on. You know, if I pick it off and scrape it off, I'm gonna have to repaint it over again. And this is the underneath, and you don't see that part anyway. So I'm thinking, well, it probably isn't even worth worrying about it. The paint is heat proof to 500 degrees, and well, the paper isn't. But if worse comes to worse, maybe this will just burn off or turn brown and just blend in. I'm hoping so. That's the long and the short of it. It's looking pretty good. All right, there you go. And that's the cover over the housing that I had painted the day before. Put it on top of it. Yeah, how about that? Looking very good. Yeah, looking wonderful. Now the hose wound up getting painted, but that's okay. It's gonna get replaced. And if anything, the paint helps seal the cracks. So maybe that's a good thing until we get around to replacing it. It looks like I missed, see that white over there? Yeah, that's paint that I missed. Well, I can't say the hose was in the way. I can't use that as an excuse. A few scratches in the paint over here. Look, it's not going to be perfect, but I really wish I had gotten around here a little bit better. Maybe one more spray is in order as I think about it. I can't tell. Yeah, it looks like this area got missed as well. Well, I can always decide later how picky or non-picky I want to be. But for now, there we go. That's what it looks like as of Saturday night. And this next week is another week. We're going to attempt to hook it back up. But basically, this work is done for the most part. The next place we're going to address will be to prime in gray and paint in black. Get this taken care of. Like I've said in the past, not all of it is rust, some of it is adhesive, but I'm willing to bet the back right corner where I know it's been leaking, this is probably rust over here. So that'll be the next project. Well, greetings and happy Sunday morning to you. There's one other thing I forgot to show you last night, and that is removing the painter's tape from the stickers and from the copper nipples underneath the air filter housing. So we're going to do that right now. Start off with the easy part. I know this might be cutting off the top of my head, but that's not the most important thing to look at anyway. We'll take the air filter cover off. Oh, I forgot there's three things. There's the top of this on the inside. I just didn't want these parts painted is all. And take that off. Luckily, painter's tape is designed to come off fairly easily. Ooh, no. Tell you what, let's get back to that later. Now we'll get the GM sticker. Watch this. Oh no. Some of it's seeped up. Keep your GM car all GM. So at least we got that part taken care of. A little bit of paint leakage up from the bottom, but better than covering the entire thing. And then finally, upside down behind this hose piece, which I'll try to move out of the way, these are the copper nipples. Critical we get this off. This one better come off. Okay, that came off in one fell swoop. See, this is what these hoses will plug into. This hose plugs into the lower one, or the one closest to the hose mounting. We didn't seal it shut with paint. That's good. We didn't want to do that. There. And this one is plugged into the other hose leading from the carburetor that Jeff plugged off. So the plugged off side, unplug it and put it back in here, and it's ready to go. Now, as I say, the only one we're having trouble with is getting the rest of this off. I did such a good taping job that, there we go, I got it. But clearly there's openings in there. I see something is spring loaded. We don't want that covered with paint. This newspaper thing, I have to decide whether I'm going to pick that off and repaint it or leave it the way it is. But we uncovered the nipples, we uncovered the GM sticker, and we uncovered this connector above the nipples, and that concludes everything having to do with painter's tape. And one of the reasons you use painter's tape and not masking tape, or heaven forbid duct tape, is you want it to stick well enough for the hour or so that you've painted and it's going to dry up, you know, whatever that time frame is, but you don't want it sticking so well that it's hard to get off or it leaves a gummy residue behind. So that's that. And next, like I said last night, we'll work on putting it all back together at some point. So minor update. I spoke with Mike this morning on the phone, and he said not to worry about the newspaper pieces that got left on the bottom of the filter, that the temperature of the engine is not going to adversely affect it. So if he's not worried about it, I'm not worried about it. Bottom line. Okay, so since we agree the air cleaner housing is as good as it needs to be, paper or not, the paint is complete, we're going to reinstall it for show just to see what it looks like. I'm not necessarily going to hook up all the hoses and connections exactly right. We just want to see how it sits on the car and how clean it looks compared to the rest of the engine. And let's go get our air cleaner. All right, so obviously this part goes over the carburetor. This hose goes into here, all right? That hose goes into there. We're not going to worry about it for now. You know what? Hey, I never took the paper off this. Now I know what lines up with this hole. This hole right over here. Had no idea. You know, I might not be able to get this on. There we go. And once that's there, boy, Lord help us all, that can grip in over there. Alright. And this piece curves up and goes in here. Albeit kind of weak looking, but and then we get the air filter and the cleaner cover. There we go. Oh, is that looking sharp or what? Very nice. Makes the rest of the engine compartment look like crap, but maybe we'll paint that other stuff later. Yeah, that is all made out of metal. But the important thing is the part I was concentrating on is looking good. Yeah. All up in here. So, of course, hooking up all the hoses and the doodads correctly is academic. That'll get done a little later, but if we're just window dressing, this is what it looks like, and this is the completed project. I'm John O'Flaherty, the B3 burner, and I'll talk to you later.